Let's get straight into the video, guys. Danny's World's player count is dropping, the likes are dropping, people are leaving the Discord, and overall it's looking very bad for Danny's World. So it's been about 3 days since my last video, and last week I went over, the drama and all that stuff involving Qwel, and while I still haven't covered everything, ironically, every time I made a video on it, you guys pointed out, something new and more things from both sides, which, thank you guys. If I'm wrong about literally anything, like usual, I'll heart your comment down below, so don't be afraid to comment or anything like that. I don't take anybody's post down just for criticism. But in today's video, I'm going over the facts about Danny's World, and it's looking really grim. By the way, guys, sorry for the clickbaity thumbnail. No, Quill hasn't posted anything yet, and no, the game's not down. I was just being dramatic. So if you're a Danny's World player and you know about all the drama surrounding Quill right now, and I went over this in depth about it before in my other videos, but here's a little recap for anyone just tuning in, because I know a lot of you guys are just seeing this channel for the first time and you probably have no idea what's going on. But basically, Qwel is in a whole bunch of trouble right now because of her connections to, well, not so good people. Just imagine the worst kind of person you could have been affiliated with, and yeah, that's them. Well, Qwel didn't fire this type of person immediately, which has caused backlash for her, and an ex-member of the team actually released the Qwel files, basically an attempt to slander or expose Qwel, depending on how you look at it. Obviously, Qwel is wrong on certain levels, right? And I won't defend that. She's just wrong in certain aspects, but this document comes from people who really just downright hate Qwel, and some of the proof is technically unreliable. When you kind of dig into it, some of it could be, fake. I'm not saying it is. A lot of this is obviously real, and she is wrong. Like I said, some of it definitely did happen. In my opinion, we should just assume most of this is the truth for now until Qwel posts something, if she ever does. But because she's been so silent so far, we really just don't know. And that silence, guys, is actually a huge part of the reason why I think this video even needs to exist. Because when the person at the center of, a controversy like this just isn't, responding, the community just hasn't sat well with it. And, we're not very patient. So, people fill the silence with their own opinions. So what's happening in Danny's World right now, whatever you want to call it, the game is just, it's kind of dying. Now I've seen hundreds of replies in my comment sections, and I've seen people getting into arguments, and nobody can really verify everything right now. So I'm not trying to like dunk on anybody. I get it, you guys. You try to keep it peaceful in the comments, but in this video, I'm gonna show you guys a pretty scary statistic. And then I want to actually walk through it, what I think it means, because the numbers, don't tell the whole story by themselves. So I went on this site called Row Monitor and Rollimon, and basically what these sites are, it's a player tracker, right? So it tracks the game statistics, visits, likes, dislikes, favorites, concurrent players, all that good stuff, all in real time. Well, if we actually search up Danny's World, and I'll put it up on the screen, you're going to see this. Fair enough, some of you guys can't really interpret this data, right? So I'm going to break it down for you guys piece by piece. So this past month already, the player count has been cut in half. Now, Danny's World isn't a small game, and at the beginning of just last month, it averaged a solid 61,000 players. Today, it's at 30,000. Well, closer to 31,000, but that's around half the player base just gone. And for context, because I know some of you guys are going to say, well, every game loses players, and yeah, that's true, but not like this and not this fast. A drop like this in under a month is the kind of thing that usually only happens after a major controversy, which is happening right now, something like a bad update or, just competition pulling people away. And that could be because of the Animal Hospital game, which I am making a video on, by the way. Subscribe and stay tuned for that. But honestly, with Danny's World right now, I think it's a combination of, like I said, kind of all three. This controversy, there really hasn't been any actual content updates, and more good games have just been releasing. But something even worse, if you look at the rating for Danny's World, you see the ratings actually down from 92.5 all the way down to 91.7. And granted, that's not a huge decrease. However, if we look at the daily ratings, we actually get more insight into this. So when we go to Rollimon, we actually see a startling statistic. The last bit, more players have been disliking the game than liking it. And people have actually been removing their like. So this last month, there literally hasn't been a single day that Denny's World has gained a single like. And for a huge game like this, that should not be happening. I mean, this is an insane statistic in my opinion, and it's not like tens of thousands of people are just disliking the game, but they are just not playing it. Or if they are playing it, they're just not engaging with it the way that they used to, and they're not leaving that little, thumbs up when they actually like the game and play it. But on the contrary, and we are in the middle of summer now, and I know last video I said summer was kind of over, and that was dumb on my part. I did get called out for that a little bit, so my bad. But a popular game like Danny's World, every single graph that I've looked at here is just a sharp decline. And it's pretty sad because Danny's World is a good game. If you look at the statistics for favorites, you can actually see the graph only really goes negative the last couple of days, which is better than the month-long trend that everything else has been showing. But even that is starting to become iffy. And if that number starts sliding the way that the likes did, and it's looking like it will, that's really like the last metric the game has right now. Now here's something for context I wanted to add for this video because I think it is kind of important context. So I went and compared Danny's World's numbers to the competition. In this case, it'd be probably Animal Hospital. I know that sounds kind of weird, but it's kind of like it. I've seen a lot of people go to this game instead of Danny's World, and if you look at the statistics there, it's only been really on the, on the rise, and that could be because it's a new game. But honestly, guys, I think it's actually pulling away players from Danny's World, which just isn't helping right now, especially because Danny's World is dropping players because of all kinds of other reasons, like I said, right? Either because of the controversy, people wanting to disassociate, or because of the lack of content. But combine that with what people in the comments have been saying, especially my other videos, some of the updates just haven't landed great with people either, and that's another reason for some people quitting. And speaking of the comments, I actually want to shout out a few of you because I'm bringing a lot of stuff up today that honestly I got from some of you guys pointing out in my last video. Now, I looked back and I couldn't really find the same comments, but you know who you are, so thank you. Some people mentioned the server itself has seen, a few people actually leaving and, stuff like that. And, if you look at other people's videos of Danny's World content creators, a lot of people have been not posting. So, less hype from creators means less people coming in, lower numbers, blah, blah, blah. And it keeps it's kind of a cycle, right? But also think it's fair to say that this doesn't necessarily mean that Danny's World is doomed. The game is dipping, but I think it can recover, especially on Roblox. Trends kind of shift a lot. So, if whatever Qwel addresses, if she ever does address the situation directly, maybe, maybe players come back, maybe she drops an update, something like that, people get talking, something like that gets people, something like that actually gets the people talking for a good reason instead of the bad ones. So I think this could be a turnaround. And that's happened before with other games, but right now, based purely on numbers that I'm looking at, the trend's not looking good, and I'd be lying if I said otherwise. But I don't know, guys, I just saw this and researched a bit, and I decided to make a video on it. If I was wrong about literally anything, or if you want to inform me about anything, like I said, just leave a comment. I'll probably read it, and I promise to try to heart it if it's important. And if there's enough new information, I might come back and do, another video. But like always, guys, if you found this video even mildly entertaining, please, please, please leave a like and subscribe. I try to post content like this, and we'll actually be playing the Animal Hospital game that's becoming popular. So thanks for watching, guys. Peace.